Alright, and we're back with our cast of Team Jurassic Throws on the Radiant versus Team No Name Yet, but currently listed as Kunka's Bad Fur Day on the Dire. And the Reddit Dota 2 League, for anyone who doesn't know, is a Dota League in which you join as a player and you get drafted by players who choose to be captains each season, and you play through a regular season, and then the top teams of every division play each other in a playoff series. So this is just the beginning of season 5, I believe, and these two teams are just testing the waters with their lineups, so they're kind of learning each other. And we have the two captains, Iron Fist for Team Jurassic Throws, and Trad Zune for Team No Name Yet. They start off with the bands of Faceless Void, Death Prophet, Lycan, and Doom, all very common bands. You've probably seen all of these heroes being picked in all pick in their games because they are absolutely broken in this push meta, and Faceless Void is just really annoying to play against. So they start off with a Shadow Shaman pick, and that's fairly common. Shadow Shaman's ultimate lets you just push down towers, even as like a solo support pushing down towers is a pretty unique ability. And like I said, there's a very strong push meta right now in the current state of the game, and the Dire counter pick with Sand King and Disruptor. So they decide to pick both their supports, which is fairly interesting. You typically want to, leave your options open, but perhaps they feel really confident about these two supports, specifically perhaps against a push lineup. I don't see it right away, but who knows? The captain may have something planned, or just maybe he's just playing to his team's preferences. Like I said, a lot of both these teams are just don't have a lot of experience playing with each other, so sometimes it's just more important to play toward your team's strengths, like the specific heroes that your team likes to play. The Radiant seem to be putting a little thought into how to respond to the Sand King and Disruptor. Sand King provides a very good team fight, and so does Disruptor, so perhaps, yeah, I think this is a really strong pick coming from the Radiant. Wraith King is really good against some sort of initiation like Epicenter, Burrow Strike, because it kind of turns a very big ultimate against them in the sense that if he drops, you just kind of just let him be the front line, and you just take the brunt of their initiation and then jump in afterwards.
10 seconds
remaining. I like this pick a lot. And also there's flexibility whether Wraith King can be support or core, so I really like that. Doesn't commit too much, whereas I guess Sand King can be played as a core sometimes, but it's fairly uncommon. But if they're picking him this early, maybe they do have some pocket strats where they play him as core. I wouldn't be surprised.
5 seconds remaining.
So we see a silencer ban, which is really good when you have a big ultimate sort of reliant team fight composition. So you don't want somebody that can just disrupt your initiation from being like 2, 3, like anywhere on the map. So silencer can just stay on the other side of the map if you want to, but most likely in team fights he'll just be way in the back, and he can just sort of disengage if it looks unfavorable, or sort of
10 seconds
break up any
remaining.
fights that don't look, or turn fights in their
5
favor.
seconds remaining.
The Radiant choose to ban Darkseer and Tidehunter, both additional teamfight heroes. Very obvious why, because they just want to remove, an off lane that just does so much. Other heroes that do similar kind of things are like Magnus, maybe, which does essentially Tidehunter ult and Vacuum at the same time. So I'm a big fan of Magnus, but he hasn't been seen as much. So who knows? Maybe they have a good Magnus play. I don't even know if that's what they want. But Luna comes out, so this seems to be the tri lane. It's very strong. You have a instant stun from Sand King, Glimpse to bring them back if they run away, and Luna's aura gives them a lot of damage. So a solo offlaner will have a lot of trouble against them.
10 seconds remaining.
So it'll be interesting to see.
5 seconds remaining.
It'll be interesting to see how the Radiant respond.
Reserve time.
Neither team has picked any heroes that look like they can be mid heroes. Well, Shadow Shaman sometimes run in mid, but so they haven't even they've banned Razor and Death Prophet, which are the only mids that have been banned. So the pool is still really open for heroes that completely dominate mid, like Viper. Oh yeah, like Viper, just as he was about to be picked. But yeah, Viper's typically a really good hero for push lineups because he peaks early and he gets that mech early, and then he doesn't really need items. He takes he's also really good against heroes that can't control where they deal their damage because that corrosive skin is just really strong. So heroes like Sand King, Disruptor, and Luna can't control where they're completely control where their ultimates deal damage to. Like, they don't want to hurt Viper because it just puts a really inconvenient slow on them. Yeah, I really like this Viper pick, but but when you pick your mid hero first, it allows the team to counter pick, and this Razor ban actually may hurt them because Razor is one of those heroes that can actually stand up to Viper quite well in mid. Although there are other solutions of Viper that do fairly well. And there's a Magnus, as I was referring to. This is pretty all in on team fights, and I want to see if the Radiant decide to avoid team fights, pick a lineup to avoid team fights and split push, or just pick counter initiation team fights. I mean, we might be in for some big 5-on-5 clashes. The way this is shaping up, and we see a Life Stealer.
Dire team band.
So this kind of says support Wraith King, but it could be an aggro tri-lane and solo Wraith King or solo Life Stealer. It still leaves some flexibility on the board. Life Stealer is fairly strong against these heroes, although Reverse Polarity does go through Magic Immunity, and if you drop Static Storm on top of Life Stealer, he can't rage. He can rage while he's being hit by Epicenter, so he can prevent quite a bit of damage. So there's a Chen ban, and so it seems that Dire seem to think that the Wraith King is actually a core hero, and it kind of makes sense because the Radiant have picked sort of a push lineup. I don't personally think so, but they do have a very good Chen player in Cameral. He's the only person that I know in this game, but he is a very good Chen player. So we won't be seeing his Chen, unfortunately. But he also plays a really good Visage, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do go with a core Wraith King that we may see a Visage, which is also very good with Shadow Shaman, that he's a support that can push.
10 seconds remaining.
One thing that
5 seconds remaining.
I don't find have an
Dire
issue
team
with
pick.
the Dire lineup. It's not a big issue, is that their carry is a ranged hero, so she doesn't get the cleave damage, which isn't that big of a deal since Luna has her own way of sort of cleaving. But you know, perhaps they want an off, and it's not for sure that Magnus is going mid
10
lane. It could
seconds
be an
remaining.
off lane Magnus, which is fairly common, and we
5
might see
seconds
something
remaining.
like a mid Kunkka or something, which also brings a lot of team fight. Works really well with Empower.
Reserve time.
And he's not the best against Viper though, one-on-one. So there's that. And they go with an OD.
Radiant team.
OD, I would say, is like a 50-50 toss-up between OD and Viper. Both of them really don't kill each other. It's pretty rare. And we see a puck coming out from the Radiant. I think, yeah, so I think what this says to me is we're going to see an aggressive tri-lane, solo safe lane Viper, with Lifestealer, Wraith King, Shadow Shaman on the aggressive tri-lane. But no, that can't be right. I'm sorry. You never lane Puck against an OD because Puck loses every single time. Well, let's see what's going on. We'll introduce the teams. On the Dire, oh great, we have a pause. Alright, so on the Dire we have the captain of this unnamed team, Tradzun. Then we have on Magnus, Tradzune's running on OD, Outworld Devourer. And we have Magnus, played by E-Tals, or Y-Tals. Next we have Z-Mech on the Sand King, Game on Disruptor, and Shunt on the Luna. I expect this to be a mid Outworld Devourer, off lane Magnus, and safe lane tri-lane Luna, Sand King, Disruptor. We have on the Radiant side, we have the captain Iron Fist for Team Justin Timberlake. I mean Jurassic Throws. On the Lifestealer, we have Zion on the Lifestealer. We have Lohanger on the Puck. Pitch Black 1345 on Viper, and Cameral on Shadow Shaman. And I expect Viper to be up against OD. So they're gonna, whichever lane OD goes to, expect Viper to be there. I don't think we see an off-lane Puck. I think we see an aggro tri-lane, but I could be wrong. But we can probably tell just from the items. Yeah, so we see Lifestealer heading toward top lane. Puck's not looking to get a bottle, he's just looking. Yeah, this is a safe lane Puck. We know this because he only has one set of tangos, so he's not piling on the regen. And you're very unlikely to see Outworld Devourer on the off lane because he just has such short range. It's pretty vulnerable. Alright, so we have Cameral dropping a ward there, going up top. Sentry's brought up by Sand King. He has actually no items, so he probably pulled big time. At least one tango went to OD.
30 seconds to battle.
Oh, what? Did he just buy Sentry's wards? That is one dedicated support. Alright, so Z-Mac's going to be hiding in this corner. Maybe they're expecting a solo offlaner, but that's not going to be the case. Normally you hide here if you're on the aggressive tri-lane, hoping to pick off the support. Maybe this will work.
The battle begins.
And yeah.